of me. His little
To the right of
ad-libs.
me.
Mic check, mic check, mic check, mic check. It's
your
mind
captain.
control.
Hey.
Hey.
What's happening? This is the area and the time and the station where you take time for your mind. Shout out to the MC Squad gang. Who
Hey,
I got
gang,
in the
gang.
building with us today?
It's your girl Nisha Michelet, and I got Sleepy Charlie here.
Oh.
Sleepy Charlie.
Sleepy Charlie.
Who
And
else I got in the
it
building today?
Is your boy none other than
Huh?
Caleb Rashad.
My love. On this episode,
We getting
buckle
deep.
up.
We getting deep.
Yeah.
It's deep.
We going
but it ain't
there.
like deep. It'll just make you think deep.
We going there. Yeah.
We're gonna go there.
You gotta reach down up.
We're gonna
up
reach
in there.
down, deep down in yonder. That's how you know we all grew up in church. Because everything about us is an old Negro spirit.
We're gonna reach down.
But what are we talking about, Coach? What are we talking about?
This episode, before we even get into that, don't
Okay.
forget to like, share, subscribe,
Hit
comment.
that like
If it's
button.
something
Hit that
you-
follow button.
Hit it.
Tell your
All
brother.
of the-
Tell
all
your
of the
brother. Tell your
things.
sister.
And even tell your grandma. Share
Tell
it with
your
your
grandma.
grandma.
Tell your bald headed granny. I'm just kidding.
Why she
Y'all
gotta be
remember that?
bald-headed?
Your mama, your daddy, your bald headed granny.
Yeah.
Step on the crack, break your mama's back.
Hey.
This episode, we're going to focus on, drum roll, please, inner child work. And you say, Captain, what is that?
What is
Nisha,
inner
break it
child?
down for it can forever be broken. Tell us what it is.
All right, I'm gonna put y'all on game. I'm gonna let y'all know what inner child work. Inner child work is an approach to recognizing and healing childhood trauma. It recognizes that our behaviors as an adult stem from our childhood experiences.
Let the church say.
Yeah.
The word that stuck out to me
Tell
for
me.
that was recognizing. 'Cause I feel like
Yes.
that's the first step.
Yes.
Is just recognizing
Self-awareness.
things like, oh, that's why. Yeah, that's why I'm like this. Yeah.
So how would you say it's inner child work has affected you? How were you introduced to inner child work to begin with, Caleb? Rashad.
So I've been into watching podcasts and
Oh, you don't say.
yeah. And I was watching I want to say his name right, Tariq Ali. I love him. He's like
Okay.
influential person that I follow on social media. And he
Nice.
talks about connecting with his inner child. And I was like, what is that? Inner child. So yeah, I heard it first through him and him explaining like his journey of inner child work. And I was like, oh, okay. In a way, it helps you understand you, like
It
how
really
you
does.
operate, literally. So yeah, that's how I found out through like podcasts and watching YouTube videos.
For me, I remember, and it's probably dating myself, but I was in grad school and it was 2000. It was
2000
back-
what?
2000.
Right. And one of the assignments, because I've always been an introvert. I think I'm an introvert stuck in an extrovert's body.
Okay.
And one of the assignments was we had to process, they didn't call it the inner child, but we had to process the inner person in us. And I wasn't as equipped as I am now, or even probably as grounded as I am now. And I remember going, like, I always had this gift to make people laugh. And so I have this thing, if I make you laugh in class, that's because I don't know what the hell is going on. That's ADHD, right? So I remember processing this in my grad school class, in my cohort, but that's only because I wasn't ready to deal with it. Because I thought being a therapist was talking about your issues, not mine. And I had to remember that the reflection of a client is really me.
True.
And so I had to have this awareness. So that's when I got exposed to it. But it also made me uncomfortable. And it also made me realize how much deep I had going on. And that's when I first got introduced to projection. 2 snaps for that.
Yep, that's deep.
What about you?
I was actually first introduced to inner child work through therapy. That was one of the many breakthroughs that I had in therapy. I'll never forget my therapist. She had me lie down, and it was funny because this day I was like, oh, we're getting into like a stereotypical therapist moment because I'm having to lie down on the couch and close my eyes.
Yeah, that's it.
So yeah, she basically made me lie down, close my eyes, and she basically had me have an interaction with my inner child. And what was crazy about the experience was that I immediately knew like what age in my childhood I wanted to go to.
Wow.
I knew like how I wanted her to look, like what I wanted her to wear. And I say her like it's not me, it's me. But yeah, and it was just it really tapped into so much about me, like psychologically, like how I feel like my childhood should have been versus the childhood I actually got. It was so revealing. I found myself like crying minutes.
How did it affect you though?
I think
stop right there.
I think in that
Y'all
moment,
heard that sigh, like and
I
subscribe,
know.
just because the real her came out. I'm listening.
Right.
Because I think in that moment, I think that's when I just had the realization of like how much of my wounds were stemmed from my childhood. That was, like I said, it was a breakthrough moment for me. I feel like growing up, I saw my life being different. I wanted to have like a Leave It to Beaver mom. I wanted to have the mom that was like, nice
You and
and
these symbolisms with these shows.
That's her. Like she always has a comparison to like a movie or something.
Right, but this is why
Yes.
she's so social media platform popular, because she's so theatrical. I love it.
can
though.
reference it all. No, yeah, but I started to realize that I was having that struggle of like, wanting my mom to be something other than she was, rather than accepting her like where she was. So because she was a single mom, she had to be mom and dad. It was a lot of tough love going on, where I wanted the mom that was like nurturing and baked me cookies and told me, put Band-Aids on
Where
my
did you
boo-boo.
come from?
Like
I mean, the moms that you see in
the
movies.
moms that you see on TV, right?
Yeah, on
the
TV,
exactly. So in my inner child, interaction, like my inner child was wearing like a princess dress, and I was telling her like, like everything is gonna be okay. You're beautiful. You're this. You're that. Like, and that was where I really learned how the
What
concept.
age was that roughly?
Like around age 10 that I chose to go back. And I remember because at age 10, like life got really like hard for me. I was having like behavioral issues. I used to be like, side note, I used to be like a little klepto. I had like a little
She said klepto.
I had like a little like klepto run from about ages 7 to 10. And I actually got put in the back. I'll never forget this. I got put in the back of a cop car for stealing. And I think
When
they
was
just
she
did
gonna
it.
tell us
Uh-oh.
Yes. And it was a very pivotal moment in my life.
You still be stealing?
No, I said a stint.
Right.
Y'all was a long ass stint. That was like 3 years. That's
But
36
listen,
months.
and listen, it was a childhood thing, and I had to like tap into that, like the whole like mental behind it, like why was I even doing that? But once I got put in the back of that cop car, I realized jail was not for me.
It
And
took
I
her
was
one
like,
time.
and to get what I want, I'm
3
gonna have
years
to go
later.
about it a different way other
Yeah.
than stealing. But because of that, I was up against a lot of mistrust from people. I never stole from people that I was related to or friends with, but I had started developing this reputation of being a thief. Like I basically developed a reputation for being a thief, and basically people were mistrusting of me. Like it was very hard to dig my way
I can see.
out of that. So I think because in my inner child, I immediately went back to that time because that was probably the time I felt the most like unloved, unwanted.
But let me just say this, even though I'm being sarcastic with, oh my God, it takes courage to tell on yourself.
yeah.
So
I mean, who ain't stole nothing out of Walmart?
Not
like,
for 3 years though.
Oh.
I don't think I've ever sold all of
I
Walmart.
don't-
Some people never
No.
stop stealing. Some people steal and they steal, and that's
I think
their,
Yeah.
and
that's
that's
the beauty.
them.
What I'm getting to is the fact that sometimes on certain journeys we tuck that child away, and sometimes we only focus on the traumatic parts, and we don't tell on the parts where we played a role.
Yeah, I definitely had a hand in that, but also too, I want to acknowledge and respect the fact that I was a child. I did feel like there was a lot, just because, and I understand it because my mom was a single mother. Like any wrong move, like it could have been the end of us. So I understand the intensity of the moments, but I also wanted to respect the fact that I was a child. I was being bad. I was a child who was being bad. I was not an adult. I was a child. So
You
I
was
felt
feeling like one for 3 years.
What do you mean stealing like one? Like when you say stealing,
okay,
like
so let me tell you with me,
Because,
it took
like,
me,
just-
like I was taking
one
like
time.
sodas out of people's garages and like so like I was doing like
But for 3 years?
but taking candy out of like but and I don't get the emphasis on the 3 year because it's like
just
7,
being
8, 9.
sarcastic.
I'm like 3 years. Like you're saying it like you had a stint of like I was not an adult. I was
Your
literally
cousin said a stint.
I was literally a
No, I
kid
didn't.
taking candy out of like grocery stores or like or I used to steal books from the Scholastic Book Fair. So literally like
Low-key,
stealing like kid
low-key,
shit.
give me
Like
some because those books are way too expensive. Scholastic, y'all knew those books were way.
I remember
too pricey.
I stole a necklace from my grandma like
Okay,
at
wait a minute.
She was
yeah.
On a roll.
Again, from
Thieving.
like the Scholastic books, they were like sell. You know how they would sell books, but they would also sell like
Samples?
fake jewelry and like that
yeah,
kind
like
of stuff.
little
Got it.
Yeah.
knick-knack things.
So I stole a necklace from stuff like that. It was very kid like childish things that I was doing. I would take like change out of like people's like change jars and stuff. So it was very like childhood like Lost Boys Peter Pan-esque type
You
of
and
like
these-
escapade.
Okay. Lost boy.
Type of escapade.
But I do appreciate honestly just your honesty
Yeah.
because some people we try to.
I'm not ashamed of it. I was a
But we try
child,
to
you
Start
know.
with some bubble gum.
our yesterdays under the rug
Yeah.
and only look at where we are today.
You have
but
to
I think
embrace
you
it.
have to embrace
It made me who I am today, and I learned a lot from that.
You ain't
That
stealing, are you?
no, see here she
So
goes.
I just want to make sure that the
So
Lord
that
delivered her,
reality,
that's
the
it.
moment where I was put in the back of the cop car, that was when the reality of
Yeah.
the situation set in for me. I think with kids, like we're not really aware of the consequences until
That is true.
it gets real, till shit gets real for real. And in that moment, shit got real. And I feel like I just had like a great community around me where it did feel, it didn't feel good to feel like people didn't trust you or like you felt unwanted or
But
whatever.
they didn't pacify the behavior.
They didn't pacify the behavior, but they had the wherewithal to be like, this is I literally was just put in the back of the cop car and I got to go home like, minutes later. My mom like whooped me within an inch of my life. You know how it goes.
Yeah.
But I could have gone to jail. Like they could have just taken me to jail. Like it could have been an a-hole cop that day, and I was a young black kid and they could have been
Or
a-holes.
she could have taken this and made it like it was cool to do.
Yeah, like it was a cool thing to do. But no, the reality set in for me very quickly. I was like, I do not want this life. And I began my life of reform like very early.
I appreciate that. How did it affect you, my guy?
Connecting with my inner child.
Uh-huh.
And it gave me confidence actually. Because my inner child was very insecure and like cared about what other people thought and didn't want to disappoint people. I was a people pleaser at a very young age, so that was hard to break out of. But yeah, I think connecting with my inner child really helped me gain confidence.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I think as a child, I worried about things that as a child you just shouldn't have
But
to
it's
worry
so
about.
sucky that you don't really realize that you weren't supposed to be stressing about those
The
things.
way
at
you
that age.
look
Right.
and how you
Right.
act.
Yeah.
Like I was just a kid. I feel like I should have just been able to be whoever I wanted to be as a kid.
Right.
And then organically become whoever I am in the future.
Got it.
But because I feel like a lot of those, I let judgment hold me back from a lot of things. And once I let go of that, it was just freeing.
Two snaps for being free.
Being free.
I think with me, I was being judgmental with you, but with me, the first and probably only time I stole, we was leaving church, right?
Yeah.
And my grandma said,
Stealing after church.
after church. It probably was the first Sunday at that.
Now, see, I never
Communion.
stole from church. I didn't play with
I didn't steal
God
from
that
church.
way. Okay. I
We
was
had
about
to go to
say.
the grocery store afterwards. So we went to Stater Brothers. Shout out to Stater Brothers.
Come on.
And it was the bag boy. If you watching me, you snitch. I know you was watching me. And when I think about being a bagger now, that was not your job to tell me to empty my pockets. He watched me take, remember, y'all too young, but Google fruit stripe gum.
I remember
that.
Okay,
with the
so
zebra.
With the zebra.
The zebra. It looks so enticing. And if you came from an era in a household where I came from, you don't steal, you don't kill, you don't lie, you don't do nothing to jeopardize the family or the family name. And so we checking out my grandma. I can still hear it. We sing glory. The Holy Ghost is still on her from church. And then here go little Minnie. Boom. I put it in my pocket. Bag boy, gang, gang. I know
He
you
saw
watching
you?
me. He
They
saw
saw
me.
you? Dang.
So he tells me, your daughter has something in her pockets. My grandmother make that look. Not mine. I know the devil is a lie.
Cause she know not to touch nothing up
She
in
know
here.
not to touch nothing. Bag boy. He goes, empty your pockets. So I was trying to be slick. And I emptied my pocket, but I put it in my hand. Like I told you. Bag boy said, open your hand. I said, you. I opened my hand. Only thing I remember was my grandmother like, I am so sorry for this. This is me. Wait, what? And she said, we're going to pay for that. And on the way out, she was just like, y'all come on, get in the car. When I got home, when I tell you life left me and then returned to sender, it made a believer out of me, okay? The other part of my childhood for me, I think it was a confidence thing. I lied a lot.
Yeah.
I lied so much. If you would have asked me, was it raining outside, you would have to go check yourself. And that followed me all the way to my late teens and early 20s.
Yeah.
And I think for me, it was a confidence thing, but I think also too, it was a insecurity in me. Because when you grow up, how you grow up, sometimes you feel like you have to be more. And so that inner child told me, your mom's on drugs, your dad's on drugs, da 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 da. And now your grandma put you in these very affluent school districts. And so you go there, you see everybody got all these bells and whistles. And so you like, well, I want bells and whistles. And so you start to live vicariously through some other party, but when you realize their childhood is probably just as effed up as yours is, theirs just looks more fancy because they have resources.
They have brand name snacks.
They have. Now, one thing my grandmama didn't do, she never bought store brand.
My mom,
Eat Better Tonight cards like it was nobody's
and
business.
if my mom did buy store brand, she was hiding it in her room from us. Like, she would hide like all the good cereal. I hated
And my
that.
grandmother, she didn't play that. The other part of me that affected for me was I had to come to grips that I had a rough childhood, but I was also very blessed.
Yeah, same.
Because trauma makes you feel that you don't have this, you don't have that, you're not going to make it. But sometimes you forget to count up the cost of everything that you have as a total. You may not have everything. When I grew up, it was 2 of us to a bed and 2 to a tub. And we could only bathe on Saturdays. This is the God honest truth. I'm not making this up. And so you don't really realize that it may seem detrimental, but until you get older, you realize my grandmother saved so much more money by switching to Geico, by
Lord.
putting us 2 to a tub.
I think I understand what you mean. I feel like at the time, it felt like I would never get past that
true.
time in life. I would
Yeah.
never get past everybody's like distrust of me, and
Yes, same here. Yeah.
But it was, and I had a similar experience of like going to the store and having like someone who worked there like empty your pocket. Like I've had I've been there.
I can
and
just
back
see
again.
you now because you're so theatrical. You probably busted
And
out.
and,
y'all problem was y'all got caught.
Not we got caught.
Y'all got
Wait a
caught.
minute.
Not we got caught. Listen,
I
are you? Is this your confession?
I'd have done a little shoplifting, okay? But it was
Little
always
or so
not
little?
like it's like Nisha said, like little stuff. Like when I was a kid, like it'd be candy or like little toys or something like that. But I never got caught.
Yeah, I rode the scooter to the store.
You gotta be
to
quicker than
steal the
that.
stuff.
Okay,
That
baby.
transportation to steal?
I literally rode my scooter to the store, and that meant I was stealing like Jughead, Veronica, and Betty and Veronica comics, and like and like
Google
cookie
what
dough.
is Betty and
Like,
Veronica
are you
comics?
serious? Okay,
I don't know what
okay.
that is.
Don't play me. Like y'all don't know Betty and Veronica comics.
Betty
Stop
and Veronica.
it. Archie.
Who are
comics.
they?
The
Who was
Flintstones?
Betty and Veronica?
Lord have mercy. Okay.
Maybe I'll see it if I.
No, I ain't gonna let y'all make me feel
Maybe I
old.
know if I see it. Let me see.
Oh, too bad.
I stay googling stuff.
You would.
Exactly.
It went right
See?
over my head.
Amanda
One of
knows
the things
what's
that I
up.
love about inner child work is that even though it could be traumatic,
Y'all see I stole a lot of
it's
books.
still right, but it also still takes us back to good times.
It does. It does.
Like watching cartoons on Saturdays all day. Being in the house with really having really no money, but you didn't know that you didn't have money
Yeah.
because everybody
Right.
else was in the house.
Right.
So it didn't make no sense. So when I think inner child work, when I was going through grad school, it seemed everything had to be so hardcore, so traumatizing. But as I developed as a clinician, it made me realize inner child work means getting back to that young person that makes me feel youthful.
Yeah.
That makes me feel vibrant, that makes me feel alive.
Or
Or
unlearning a lot of things.
Yeah. Even in the bad, I feel like I learned a lot from that experience. At the time, it didn't feel good, but I feel like just from having that experience of going through that, that taught me such a big lesson and has like made such a monumental effect on who I am.
now just
today.
think if you did not get caught. Or you did not have an accountability measure that you had to be up against. I also feel that when we don't have accountabilities, you cannot grow.
I agree.
Yeah.
Because I feel like it was an entitlement thing. I feel like looking back at that time, I felt like there was a childhood in my mind that I was entitled to. And
You was going to get them snacks.
and I was going to get that
said,
childhood
"This is mine."
come hell or high water.
Yeah.
But it's like once the reality of the situation starts to set in, it's just like, okay, this is a bad path to go down. It just starts that process of in your mind of learning, like, these are my circumstances.
Right.
These are
and
the
I have
consequences.
These are the consequences for my actions. So I have to learn how to accept my circumstances and just like work with them. And I think that's where a lot of my not wanting to ask for help and just learning to just be grateful for what I accept, whatever people are willing to give me, just be grateful and humble and just accept that. I feel like that's where that mentality started to develop.
But now just think if you didn't have that eye-opening experience. We see across the board, you guys, everybody's stealing out of stores.
Oh God, those TikToks when people like stealing out of Gucci.
I was going
girl.
to prison for
Child.
life when I stole that fruit stripe gum. I couldn't imagine flying into TJ Maxx, Home Depot, Target, all these places
And just snatching stuff.
snatching
stuff,
And
yes.
nowadays they don't
On
even
camera.
run.
Now they don't even
camera.
chase you.
On
They don't
camera.
even. They're not allowed to chase you in the stores.
And to
like,
think, Stater Brothers boy, bag boy,
Oh, God,
had
here
me
we go
empty my
again.
pockets, which was completely against protocol, Mr. Man. If you see this, I made it.
oh my gosh, I'm
the
weak.
part that makes me kind of think about connecting and what affected my inner childhood was looking at the importance of those moments and how it shaped me to be who I am.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I think if I didn't discover the lack of being integral, I wouldn't be standing on business on
Standing
on
integrity
business.
now. And scene. I wouldn't be doing it now. So I think, what did they say? It was good for me that I was afflicted.
Yeah.
Because it really showed me, the morals that people in communities had. Like your neighbors told on you.
Yes.
Bag boys told on you. Whereas now people stand there and they do this.
Right.
Right.
And they film
they
you.
film
So I
you.
think when I think about inner child work, I want us to think about it. I want us to be vulnerable to inner child work, but I also want us to look at those of us who have maybe different parents or different circumstances is to not look at that as a negative.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me ask you this.
Tell me.
Go ahead.
Yeah. No, okay. Well, I was just gonna kind of piggyback off that and just say, I learned a lot about how to parent your own inner child, like just
Right.
assess the needs of your inner child. Because there were, I say I wanted to leave it to Beaver Mom. There were things that I felt like I needed as a child, and that translates into your adulthood. So yeah, there was the big takeaway about inner child work for me was definitely learning how to parent your inner child,
Yes,
like be
and
the
comfort your inner child.
Yes.
Like the guy I was telling you guys about, Tariq Ali, he does YouTube videos about talking about your inner child, and he's like hugging himself, like hugging his inner child, like telling his inner child that it's okay. Like it looks kind of weird, like when you're doing it, but when you're by yourself and you feeling a type of way and you trying to connect,
Self-love.
It's self-love.
yeah, self-love.
It's
So it's
radical
okay to,
self-love.
like,
Indeed.
That's it.
Yeah.
comfort your inner child, because
Yes.
that your inner
Because that's
child
still a
might
part
need
of
that.
you.
You might need
That
that.
that childhood version of you is still a part of you. It's
Yes.
still like a little baby bud inside of you that you have to water and nurture. And
When you think about Freud, right? Sigmund Freud.
we getting deep into the psychology
It's really
today.
about developmental. And everything always goes back to childhood.
Yes.
Good, bad, or indifferent. The
Yes.
things that you're exposed to can make or break your teenage years. It can make or break your young adult years. The thing that I'm thinking about when I'm thinking about inner child work is don't forget to praise little Nita. Don't forget to praise little Nisha, because you honestly could have not chosen to stop stealing.
Yeah.
We could be sitting right here right now and it won't have these mics because you would have robbed us blind. I'm just saying.
I could have been in the jail. So I could have been in jail.
You could have robbed them in the jail.
I could have not been here because I could have been in jail.
Okay, so what would you tell your younger self if you could turn back time?
Wow.
Uh-oh, the glasses are coming off.
Gosh, it's getting deep.
Looks into the camera.
I'm going to tell you like this. You know you the baddest bitch that ever hit this planet. And you know, with or without parents, that God made you the way that he made you.
Period.
And you're going to be good. You're going to look up one day and you're going to be giving jobs to people. You're going to look up one day and you needed to go through that season of being broken. But guess what? If you didn't have that, you wouldn't be here. So girl, get up and finish what you started. And stop lying, because somebody can benefit from the truth from you. So guess what, little Nita? Congratulations, baby.
Okay,
Hey.
I like that.
Thank you.
Caleb, Rashad,
What
are
would
you telling
I tell
your younger self?
Wow.
younger Caleb? I would tell younger me to dang.
It gets deep.
Dang. I would tell younger Caleb to continue to not let the world harden your heart. Even though you go through things and you meet people that let you down.
Right.
Don't let it harden you. Continue to be the loving person that I am.
2 snaps for Caleb.
Yeah.
One thing I'm going to add to mine. Nita, you already knew you was gay. Stop playing.
Right. Everybody know you gay, Caleb. Like, it's okay.
Quit playing. Why you
It's
put through all
okay.
them boyfriends and taking
Get
all
out
their
the
lunch
closet,
money? You
y'all.
could have went with Sarah and left Johnny alone.
Get on
Shout out
out
to
the
Johnny.
closet.
My bad.
Oh, it's
you
my
gonna
turn.
tell
Oh, it's my
yourself?
turn. Okay, little Nisha.
Stop stealing.
Listen. Ain't gonna just really dragging it.
'Cause I don't
you
even
making
see
me
that
you
in
making
you.
me
Right.
regret.
You shouldn't have told her that.
That's a good thing.
Now
Right.
she's gonna be clutching her bag everywhere around you.
Right.
Right.
Right. It's supposed to be a safe
She
space.
might steal the
We're
space.
supposed to tell about your dark past.
That's in the past. That's in the past. We don't do that no more. We don't do that no more.
Literally. I would just say, and every time I am talking to little Nisha, immediately it just goes back to that 10-year-old who life got really real for in that moment.
Yeah.
So I would say, I know at this point in your life, things are just feeling like really dark. I know that you're feeling very unwanted. I know that things are feeling very hard for you right now, but this is literally just a moment in time, and this was such a pivotal lesson that you needed, because you are going to go on to do great things. You are beautiful. You are worthy. Do not let the world beat you down, and just learn to accept these moments with as much grace as possible. Continue in life with gratitude and love. You are special and you are needed.
2 snaps for that.
Yeah, y'all's were so like well put together. I felt like
Yours
mine
was too.
So was yours.
If you're watching us and you liking it and you're subscribing,
You know you like this.
you know you do.
You know.
Don't
You know
forget
you love us.
to talk and have a conversation with that inner part of you. Because I think that inner part of you is what really makes a really dope adult. Is when you can go back and to find out that the relationships that we're in now, be them monogamous or just
Platonic.
it's because of what you were exposed to and what you were as a kid. So sometimes we choose these partners or we choose these jobs. When I think about the career path that I'm in now, and I've always had a gift to gab for people. I'm an introvert, but I'm a great conversationalist. So for me, this is where I'm supposed to be doing. I think if I would have tried anything else, it wouldn't have worked out. So if you're watching us, I want you to take a minute and just ask yourself, who am I? And I think if you went back to childhood, it'll tell you exactly who you are. But I think society sometimes makes us dictate and tell us who we're not supposed to be that person.
Or they try to tell us who It's supposed to be.
or who to be with.
And don't or they try to let your circumstances define you, because I could have let that moment be a
Right.
defining moment for me in a negative way, but I chose to flip it into a positive and say, you know what, I'm not gonna do this no more.
I would have never saw that.
That's
coming.
a compliment. That's
Honestly,
a
'cause
compliment.
it
That
just-
means that I've got further and further away from that. And I'm in my I'm inching towards my mid-30s, y'all. So you think about that, you say ages 7 to 10, that was just 3 years in like my whole entire life. So it was just a moment in time, and
But there are moments when
it
those
passed
3
like
years,
a kidney stone.
the young people can actually be incarcerated by then.
Yes,
Or
yes.
we live in such a social media time now, it would have been very cool. You know what I'm saying? We would have made it out to be a cool thing. So if you're watching this and you're a subscriber, I want us to pay attention to our inner child, but I don't want us to make excuses why the inner child can't grow up and be a more developed adult, responsible and
Yes.
integral. So don't forget to like, share, subscribe, have this conversation with your peers. Girl, who was you when you was 5? I used to do drive-bys.
5.
I'm just saying, hypothetical. You just never know. The block be hot sometimes.
That was such a great note to end on. I like that message.
It really is.
Yeah.
I'm your captain. I'm your captain. Don't forget it. While y'all are here, it's holiday season. Find somebody to give back to. Find somebody to bless. Go back to that inner child that maybe you struggled as an inner child, or maybe you guys had a lot growing up. Don't forget to give back in the season while you liking and subscribing. What's your takeaway?
Pay it forward.
My takeaway is to don't be afraid to
That's
connect
so
with
true.
your inner child. Don't be afraid to what you might find out about yourself.
Yeah. That's good.
I like that one. What's your takeaway?
I think my takeaway is gonna be don't let the moments, the bad moments define you. That's a part of life.
Yeah.
In life we go through things that are defining moments, but they don't necessarily, your circumstances don't have to be they don't have to be the end of you. They don't have to define you or negatively impact you. You can take any situation and turn it into a positive.
Ladies and gentlemen, 2 snaps for that. And we out.
Hey.